Good morning, everybody. We had a lot going on this week with Comics Unlimited, but we decided that we wanted to talk about Marvel, the Marvel method. So if you are a history fan about Marvel and everything that's good with Marvel, check it out. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.
Good morning. I am Ted Davies. I'm an artist and author.
And I'm Glenn Fleming. I'm a writer, artist, and publisher.
All right. So, welcome. Good to see you again, my friend.
Yeah, and you too.
We got a lot to cover today, but we first want to talk about. Unfortunately, we've lost a few people in the comics industry this week. One of the indie comics promoters and in her own right, indie. I think she was an indie published author. She was a newbie for a while there. Meredith Lundgren passed away this week suddenly, and I wanted to say how sad we were to hear about it. Meredith was, for me, she ended up. I don't StreamYard and that, but she was actually the one that got me into StreamYard, into doing the podcast stuff. The first time I was live running a show was because of her, because she let me use her StreamYard in order to promote other people. So big shout out to Meredith and her memory and her family. Our heart goes out to it. Christine, I wanted to send our regards and condolences to everybody, Anita and everybody else that's affected directly, as well as everybody else that was touched by her. So so to Meredith, rest in peace.
Yeah, I was on the second podcast I did was with Meredith, probably over a year ago now.
Yeah,
I was on with a couple of guys, not comics related, even though I was talking about comics. But then all this happened. This COVID thing happened, and all this stuff, and we suddenly found each other all online and doing all this kind of stuff. But Meredith was great. I only spoke to her last week on Nita's show, or on that show with Daphne, and she didn't.
How was she then? I didn't see the show.
She didn't look too good. She had one of those things on her nose for breathing, but and her voice was croaking. I asked her if she was okay, and she said it looks worse than it is.
Okay. Yeah.
And sadly, it wasn't.
Yeah, way too young.
Yeah.
Real shame.
I think she was only 50, wasn't she?
Yeah. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. But like everybody's been saying, she would want the show to continue. She would want us to keep promoting and keep moving. And
she would, yeah.
And in that regard of her memory, that's what we're going to keep. We had before we bring up our affiliation with Rising Tide and our sponsorships. We've had this week's. We've been really hit hard. Everybody knows how much I love Mike Mignola, and Gotham by Gaslight, the writer of this masterpiece. I think it's one of the pivotal books in my collection. Brian Augustyn passed away. I want to say the 1st of February, and it's a real shame. He was only 67. I don't know what the circumstances were, but this book, Gotham by Gaslight, was such a pivotal point for me to get back into Batman, but also really learning about Mike Mignola. This is pre-Hellboy. It was it's a revelation. What's
the date on that book?
91, I think. If I'm not mistaken, 91, 92. But it doesn't say on the front page. But I want to say it was 91, 92. But it's a fantastic book, and my heart goes out to Brian's family. Quite a loss. So, but still, we've got the legacy through the books and through the stories that they've created. But that's the one that I really like Brian about. His storytelling there was just, I think it's one of the best books. If you guys get a copy of Gotham by Gaslight, please do.
The thing I think that with regard to Meredith and Brian is that I keep saying this, we're here for a good time, not a long time. So if you're an artist and writer, get it done, that stuff done, because one day
that's it. Who are you going to inspire Who are you going to inspire when you're gone? Now you got the opportunity. You know, one person said to me, one of the things that I forget the saying or who said it. I know the saying, but the library that I've got here, every book is one person's mind.
Yeah.
And you're getting a chance to live in their mind. And that's something so true. And I really, pictures are one thing. Artwork is one thing. You're seeing something through somebody's mindset or eyes. But a book is different. A book really, you become part of them. And
Yeah,
that's
Carl Sagan said a similar thing, didn't he, about how amazing books were. That they were just pieces of wood with
simple technology.
scribbles on them. And he
Right.
said, but the thing is that it's like a time machine when you read the Iliad and things like that,
Yes.
and F. Scott Fitzgerald. You're back there. You fit in with
Right.
it, and you can see what's going on. And
it is time travel, period. And I think that we I've said it before. We're gods. We're gods amongst this time right now. So let's use that time. If you've got that story, get it out. Get it published, indie publish it, whatever. Get it out. So who else passed away this week?
A friend of mine, Howard Fuller, who was a blogger, he did a lot of work for us, putting Comics Unlimited out there, do reviews. You know, he always bought several copies and gave them to his friends. And that was even after he'd had the PDF before publication, you know, so he could do his review. But he passed away the other day, and on his Facebook, he just said, his last post was not feeling too good, going to hospital, and then he died. So I don't know. I don't know what the circumstances were, but he's gone.
Right now, it's we always are thinking COVID and everything else, and it's always complications or whatever. So it's a really weird time right now, regardless of But
it's only the thing that is getting me at the moment is it's only February, and all these people have gone. So
and we got to look at it from. The deaths happen every day. So regardless of how we looked at the last 2 years of what's going on, seize the day, seize that moment. It's got to, regardless of whatever's going on around us, get you've got permission. If you need it, you've got it.
Yeah.
Go do it. Get it done.
Just do it.
I know that you're busy. I know I'm swamped right now, trying to get as much work as I can out, in a positive format. So, and one thing you said to me too, which I think is I've had a lot more birthdays behind me than I do ahead of me. Yeah. And that's something that you and I are both in that, in that form.
More time than I've got left.
Part life. So so we make the most of it. And, we have the good meal, we have the good drink, and we produce some really great work. That's the key.
You see, but I've got it just slightly better than you because I've got Helen to look at.
There you go. And I got Christine. Not too bad.
Well, that's what I said. Not too bad. That's what I said. Slightly better.
Not too shabby. Not too shabby. So Comics, Comics Unlimited podcast. Of course, you guys can check out everything that Glenn's got up here on Amazon under Glenn B. Fleming. Check out everything that we're doing with that. Got some really great things coming up this April. We think is when the launch date's going to be, and we'll be talking about subscriptions and all that fun stuff. Good morning, Carl. How you doing? We got a few people in the queue here, so it's going to take a few minutes for Facebook and all the rest of it to catch up. But first off, we are part of the. Did we cover everything before I get started here? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Was there?
Yes.
Was there any?
Yep.
Okay. Rising Tide Broadcast Network. We're a group of creatives that help creatives build their business. Check out everything that we're doing on our Facebook, Rising Tide Broadcast Network, and please join us. We would love to have you on the adventure. So 7 days a week, we've got entertainment, education, and I think Brian says enlightenment, and that's pretty good because I think that might fit the bill. We start out Thursdays with comics, and we end Thursdays with comics with Comic Book Spectrum. So check out everything we're doing with Comics Unlimited podcast today. Like and share it if you would, please. That would be super helpful. And join this crazy adventure that we're on. We also have a sponsor, Cashman's Comics, stepped up. They are sponsoring us now. So we'd like to give a shout out to John Cashman. We had a really good, it was snowing like crazy. The Midwest has been hit with some major snow. I'm preaching to the choir. I don't know. I know Carl's in the queue here, and I'm sure they've got a ton of snow. I'm bragging about this because I picked this up yesterday. It's a Bill Sienkiewicz variant cover for Batman and Catwoman. It's a special one-off and it's Bill Sienkiewicz. Oh, it's so sick. Got this yesterday, and thank you, John, for holding that one for me, because this is a piece de resistance. It's I love Bill's work anyway, but I'm really looking forward to reading it.
That artwork for that cover is a good reason for me, not that I need it, but to do your work with colored ink and paint and stuff.
Yes,
because Bill Sienkiewicz doesn't. I don't think he does that on the computer.
He's done one of the, and it's going to be, you wouldn't think this, but the illustration books, Moby Dick, he did it's phenomenal. It's absolutely a phenomenal read. The way that he did the artwork, I mean, I'm always going back to, there's a core group of books that I go back to. Gotham by Gaslight, Bill Sienkiewicz's Moby Dick story, the illustration side, unbelievable amount of the way that he does all the interior panels. I'm in awe.
I think people like him and Bernie Wrightson and Barry Windsor Smith. I've said this before as well. I don't think they're comic book artists. I think they're illustrators who work in comics. But that's just the style, Because your comic book artists are people like Kirby and John Buscema and John Romita. Those are comic book artists, because they don't really do much outside that.
I consider them illustrators. I think Bill's probably the thing I like about Bill is he works outside of the box. He uses the I think the medium as such a story board. You can do so many things with a comic. It doesn't have to be these regimented, Neil Adams-ish thing. It's got to, it doesn't have to be. And that's what we're going to talk about today with Marvel Method, the benefit, and then maybe the detachment from it. So I want to say good morning. You want to say good morning, everybody, too. I'm sure Carl and Pete and Eric, good morning. Good morning, everybody. We've got other people in the queue. I've got counts on other people, but they're not showing up on the comments. So by all means, step up, guys, and say good morning to us. We'd love to hear from you. Okay. I think you had the idea of going down the rabbit hole of this Marvel Method, the book that all artists should have it if you don't have it in your library. I think if you're seriously thinking about comic book illustration, I misplaced mine. I don't know if I have it. I must have it in storage. I thought I had it in my library. I was looking for
30 years.
What's that?
I've not looked at it for about 30 years, I don't think. But when I remember buying it, and I'm like, I don't know how this is going to sound, but it didn't show me much that I hadn't already worked out.
Yeah.
I always thought at the time that Kirby should have done it because he's the master, but then you find out about all the other stuff, and I think also at the time he was doing the Eternals and Silver Surfer graphic novel around 78, was it around that time? Yeah. So maybe he couldn't do it, or maybe he didn't want to do it. I don't know. But if Kirby would have done it, it would have been absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I know. Pete's in the queue. I'm sure that we all had one, but I got rid of my Silver Surfer #1 a long time ago. Pete just ended up selling his with Stan Lee's signature on it, and it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. I know it broke his heart to sell it, but kudos to Pete, man, because that was I
had mine signed by Kirby.
Did you really? What was it? Which one? Your Silver Surfer?
The Silver Surfer, yeah.
No kidding, man. Yeah. I'm gonna keep kissing your butt for years to come. I'll talk to Helen privately, see if I can't work something out with the will. That's amazing. Well, and I just signatures are really important. But I want to acknowledge something real quick before we get too deep into this. I also got the Geiger book, the new one, and I messaged Eric because I know he's a Geiger fan. If you haven't seen the Geiger series, it's really, really good. Very well done. Well, they've got a new book out that I got yesterday. It's an 80-page, and it goes through. It's awesome. I'm not going to ruin it for Eric, but he told me to choke on it. So just want to make sure. It's brilliant. The artwork's fantastic, and it's a good story. So, okay. So needless to say, the Marvel method. Did you want me to bring up the drawing first, or how do you want me to proceed with this?
Well, we should establish what it is, shouldn't we? Really?
Yeah.
It's,
go ahead.
See,
Yep.
I don't think I think that Stan Lee called it the Marvel method to bring it to the Marvel fold, like he does.
Right.
But
Well,
it was
it's
certainly
marketing,
done.
right?
Yeah, certainly done before Marvel did it. But the interesting thing I've seen about the established comic book artists, like I said before, Kirby, Ditko, Buscema, Romita, these people, I've never seen a rough of a page that they drew. I think they went straight to the page. They didn't, and that's how their visualization was so brilliant. They could see it on the page, and they just put it on the page. They didn't waste the time doing thumbnails, because I don't always do thumbnails, but I do it the most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's just thumbnails, how they work.
Sure.
But as far as I know, that they never did that. So they were always drawing the same way. So the Marvel method is a bit of a misnomer, really, because Kirby was certainly doing that kind of work in the 40s with Captain America. So it's not really the Marvel method. I think that's a bit of a steal.
Well, I mean, and that it's proprietary, right? I mean, Stan Lee was the showman, right? Period. I mean, he was the guy that got out there, got the, but I mean, this isn't Kirby, but I mean, when I was a kid, man, this was it.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. I mean, this is just, but these were based in Kirby's ideas. I mean, this is brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw those covers. I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I was like 9. I think that was 9. How old? Yeah. I was 9 years old then. Crazy. God. 10 years old. Nuts. I had barely enough money to buy them, but I was getting them. I was like, Mom, can you get this for me, please? Go ahead. I mean, cut you off.
No, but it's okay. It's okay.
It's proprietary.
Yes. I think it's a great way to work as an artist, and you're an artist. And I know you'll agree with this. It's a great way to work, to unleash the artist on the pages, because because they're artists. It's not that writers can't describe a situation, but an artist will see the situation, and I think that such as Kirby and then the masters will bring a lot more if you let them go with it. As long as, I mean, we won't get into the discussion, but if Stan Lee is telling them the story roughly, as he says he was, the artist is going to bring a lot more back than a type script, I believe. Mm-hmm. Although there is always an exception. And if you look at Dave Gibbons's book on Watchmen, he publishes several of Alan Moore's scripts, and they're just line by line. But you must remember that Alan Moore started out as a cartoonist.
Yeah. And he's a genius. I mean, regardless of how crazy he can be, this, what you don't think the norm is, he's a genius. I mean, he is amazing.
And I know for a fact he used to pick up Crikey, because I've got a photograph of him reading it in his house. Somebody sent it to us. So he's got good taste as well. But I think when you get these artists now, and you just give them a germ of an idea, and they'll always bring 15 things back with it. More than I believe. Writers will disagree, but I that's what and I think it's a great way to work. As long as it's like when you're writing the story. I believe that you should have a beginning, middle, and an end. Mm-hmm. And you can't on page 900 you can't suddenly have the guy being able to fly to get out the way of that car. You've got to establish these things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, world building especially, but absolutely. Yeah. And I start, I'm kind of a bookend writer too. I have the concept, and then I've got the completion of that concept, and then I fill in, and I talk about that on From the Trenches of Hollywood with Craig, and it's I think it's a great way to write. That's the way I do it, though. Ryan Permission's in the house, by the way. So good morning, Ryan.
You all right, Ryan? Yeah, I think it's the only way to work. I'm going to when I publish Hatch after the Kirby book, I'm going to put in some of the visuals that I do, some of the thumbnails as well. Yeah, and you'll see how a lot of the time I don't deviate from that.
The method,
because it's your first impulse. It's like your first idea is usually your best idea before you start to flesh it out or whatever. Just that good idea, and that's why I do thumbnails, just to make the layouts work. And
I do the same. I do the same. I've done, I was called the onion skin designer for many years because I've got a roll of onion skin paper, tracing
Right.
paper,
Right.
and that's how I used to do it. I would lay things out on a grid. I'd have a grid on, even after computers, and I would lay everything out, and then I'd start designing the house according to
Yeah.
that, just on a 1/4-inch scale grid underneath this tracing paper, and that's how I did it. And it was almost like the old butcher shops where they used to pull out the brown paper and then wrap up the
Yeah.
meat and stuff. It's a kind of the same. It was on a spool, and that's the
Was
way I
it
did it.
was
You
it
know,
Jack Kerouac who wrote On the Road on one single piece of paper?
I think he did. Yes.
It's 600 miles long or something, and
Yeah,
it's
it's crazy. It's crazy.
what a great idea.
But
I
I
mean,
think
this is a
yeah.
typewriter. This is a typewriter, not a
Well,
word processor.
yeah.
It was banging away.
Right. Could you
Fantastic.
imagine if Da Vinci had a roll of tracing paper like that, what he could accomplish? I mean, it's amazing. I mean, you don't realize the industrial age and everything else that happened. What a wealth that we have, even with the paper shortage now, which I'm going to get into later during the course of this.
Yeah.
Ryan said, by the way, that he just bought Gotham by Gaslight. Good purchase, my friend.
Right.
Darth Maul X, God Loves. I don't know that one. Man Kills and 2 Moon Knight. Oh, you got Moon Knight too. That's cool. Very good. I went over to you don't have Ollie's over in the UK.
No.
Ollie's is a discount. It's basically offshoots or off things that didn't sell, and then they buy bulk and all that. I ended up getting a book called The Fountain. I know the movie was out a few years ago with Hugh Jackman. I'm gonna grab it. Actually, it's over here. It's phenomenal. By the way, here's the Geiger I was talking about, just so everybody can salivate. It's awesome. Yeah, you should go get this once you dig out of the snow there. Be safe, Hawkins, if you go out. But Fountain was it's done by Vertigo. It's a few years old, 2005.
Yep.
But I bought this book, and it was like $4, and it is amazing. The artwork's incredible.
Wow.
Just incredible. But this is what I mean. The way that without the Marvel method, a lot of these things wouldn't have been done this way or done so differently from the Marvel method that we wouldn't notice them. Everything would be streamlined. It would be, you got to have yin and yang. You got to have that what's good and what's bad in order to see what's good and what's bad, right?
And what's working, yeah. You got
right. And a lot of it, I love books that break the boundaries that aren't so clean and like we grew up with, getting away from that and making it so like the thing I like about Bill Sienkiewicz is he uses all kinds of mediums. He uses washes, he uses watercolor, he uses ink, he'll use pastels, he'll use whatever he's got on hand. He'll use acrylic paints and use a knife on it, and just amazing. I love that. That's true art.
See, I was brought up on the pristine thing of the British comics with people like Mike Noble and Frank Bellamy.
Yeah,
and their work is just so good. Yeah,
I know you like the clean line, and I'd have to say your line work, all due respect at your age, is phenomenal. I mean, no, people don't realize as you get older, your hands, show them that one, show them the pyramid one that you.
Pyramid.
Yeah, I'm going to bring you up. You guys have to see this because this is on his new Hatch book. You guys are going to have to see this. And I know it's self-promotion, but
it's in two pieces, so I'm going to have to hold it together.
It's incredible.
I'll try and hold it so I don't break the artwork. I was coloring
don't
this
do
yesterday.
That's a valuable piece
yesterday.
Real
estate.
Can you
see
there.
That?
Just incredible. I mean, and you mix your own inks, right? You've got the Kirby Crackle there that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I would put that up to any of Jack's. Oh, look at the stonework. Jesus, man. How many hours do you think you have into that? 20?
No. I would say 20 hours. You said 20 hours. No, I'd say about 12. About 12.
Very good, man.
2 days, but it's the joke is that I tell people that in that giant pyramid, Khufu's pyramid, that there are 2.5 million bricks,
right?
And I've drawn them all. and I've drawn them twice because then I had to ink it. And I only wish I'd filmed doing it.
Yeah.
And shown people. But there's some more Kirby crackle.
Yeah. Your Kirby crackle is different than this.
It's a lot better than that, isn't it? Look at mine.
I think,
Look at
you're
mine.
brilliant. You got
mine
that
looks
down.
like, mine looks
not
like
an
Kirby.
not an easy thing. God, that's brilliant, man.
I'll give
You're
everybody
so talented. You're so
thank
talented,
you.
Glenn.
There's one. There's another one. Kirby
Just
crackle.
incredible. Yeah, let me bring that up. Just awesome. Now, have you used the Marvel method on your series and all the work that you've done over the course of the last 100 years that you've been doing this?
Yeah, and the previous 100 as well.
Yeah.
It's just the best way to do it. It's like I say, get the artist involved and let them draw. You know, it's the only way. I mean, again, there's always the exception. Like, if I'd love to work on a script from Alan Moore, who wouldn't? But I think he's. I can imagine. I think I would probably rather work for Stan Lee than Alan Moore, because Stan Lee obviously lets the artist go and Alan Moore doesn't.
Yeah.
Even though Dave Gibbons, that work on Watchmen is fantastic artwork.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's when you see again another opus, another.
Yeah, but when you see the scripts, he draws it. He has to draw it, you know, to the script, which is great for him as well. To have done that, you know, because he doesn't. I don't think he would. I think Alan Moore's his friend. He didn't sort of deviate too much from it and all that kind of thing. But yeah, it is a good way to work. The only way to work, really.
And like I said, you can look up on Amazon. You can purchase it pretty easily, or if you go to a reused bookstore, I'm sure they might have a copy of it. Check it out. Check out the Marvel method, because it's really worth. Ryan Permission asks. Marvel method. I wonder if you guys are going to discuss the DC method. I don't know if they've got one. I know that they've got books on it, but I don't think they technically. Maybe they do, but correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
I think in the Marvel draw comics the Marvel way and the Marvel method, I think that is more to do with the actual storytelling and layout of than the actual drawing, because obviously different artists, you know, you draw differently than I do and that kind of thing. But the principle is the same. It's the storytelling. The Marvel method goes into things like, the Marvel draw comics the Marvel way goes into things like perspective and figure work and things like that.
Right.
So that's not really the method, is it? Because the figure is the figure. The perspective is never.
It's I mean, that's drawing 101. Yeah.
Yeah. Perspective is set. Yeah. You know, God does that. It's set. So I mean, I know you can bend it and all that kind of thing, like Kirby did a lot. But you know, your eye will tell you when the perspective's off. And you see published artists even working for Marvel and DC, and the perspective is a bit off in some of the panels.
Yeah,
but I suppose everybody can do that.
I mean, even Kirby was off on perspective at times.
Yeah, but
it worked.
He's always worked, didn't it? Yeah, I mean, look at his muscles he used to draw. Nobody has muscles like that.
But they're so extreme. Yeah,
but you've got to know how to do it to break the rule. You got to know the rule before you can break it. So that's what's so good about those people.
Yeah. Good morning, Joe D. From the desk of Small Press Publisher. We are live and proud of it. For following Cashman's Comics, we appreciate that. If you guys want to check out what Cashman Comics is doing, they're on Facebook, and they've got a website as well, cashmanscomics.com. You can check that out on the stamp there. He ships nationwide. Sorry about the UK. But I'm sure that you guys can check out what he's got. A ton of work. He's a big indie supporter. He has all my work, and he's going to be selling Comics Unlimited in the shop. So make sure that you stop in on Facebook. See Petey, the dog, say hello, and tell John we said hi too. If you guys are lucky enough to stop at the Bay City, Michigan shop. Good morning, John. How you doing? John Cashman's in the house. You guys are just hearing the shout out about John's fantastic work. He's been there 25 years, going on 26th year. Yeah, we love John. And he's a great guy, super guy, very down to earth. He's always interested. Trust me, he's always interested in getting as much in your pull box as possible. Let me tell you, there's things that he found for me with Mike Mignola's work that I didn't even know existed. So kudos to John. So yeah, check out everything John's doing. Sorry, I got to promote John.
That's all right. Yeah, gotta do it.
One of the ones that, the vast variety of Marvel, Conan was a big one for me. Yeah. I never it was frustrating. It was like I would assume working with seeing the drawings of Conan when I was um, younger. The only way I could probably to today's world, David Finch to a millennial is probably what Conan was to me as a kid. David Finch is incredibly detailed, and it takes him a long time to do his work, but they're amazing. I mean, the Hulk, everything. It's just incredible what he does. Um,
But
what
don't
was
forget,
one? Go
sorry,
ahead.
don't forget that Conan. That's the regular book, isn't it?
Yes,
The best Conans are the black and white ones where Alcala
I
inks
totally
John
agree.
Buscema. Well, I've
Yeah.
seen some pencils
Yep.
of John Buscema, and they're like is it Mike Zeck who did that Spider-Man Craven Hunter years ago, 30 years
I
ago?
think he did. Yeah. I can't remember now, but yeah,
Very, very fantastic economy of line,
that's a good
just
way to put
basic
it.
line.
Hmm.
And then give it to somebody like Alcala, who just can't put his brush down, can he, or his pen down, and
No,
you're just
no.
like I was liken Alfredo Alcala to Bernie Wrightson in that line. He does all that line. But I'll tell you something, just while we're on it, if you look at Kirby's pencils, you will see that he never spots blacks because nothing is black, is it? Everything's got light in it.
Yeah.
And
Everything.
and then Joe Sinnott comes along, who I love and think is Kirby's best inker.
I
He
think
just
he
he just
sharpened it.
he
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
gets rid of all that, and I'm not sure whether Jack was too happy about that. But if you look at Alcala's inking and Bernie Wrightson's inking, there's no black. It's all line because there's space in there. Nothing is solid black. It's the space.
Okay.
You understand what I mean? There's space in where Wally would spot a black on a on a drawing. But
that's one thing I love about Mike Mignola, because the blacks are they tell more about the story, the inking. Your mind has to put it together, and that's like we're talking about Frank Miller. If you guys haven't seen that one, go back last week and check out our catalog on that. It's an amazing the negative spacing on it without color. But man, I'm with you on that. I understand what you're saying. I don't know. My drawing is kind of dark in that respect. I use a lot of black shadow work, and that's just me though.
Well,
But
I'm when I'm doing hatch or when I'm doing other stuff, I tend to leave it open now because I'm doing so much work in color, and I'm gonna have to go back to black and white. But I've got some drawings of hatch that I worked on where it's all, because I'm inking it.
Yeah.
I don't have to put the detail in the pencils, and then I put it in when I'm
understood.
inking it, to put it on the light box and just go over it.
Yeah. Good point.
So this Marvel method is if you can get hold of that book, I don't know how rare it is. It's still in print.
Oh, I'm sure you can get it on Amazon. I think they'll print it off for you. I know you can get it used.
I'm sure. I would imagine it's quite a bestseller, so they're going to keep it in print.
Yeah,
aren't they?
I mean, and it's a staple. I mean, I think that even in schools they offer it, and you buy it for your curriculum. I think.
Yeah, because there's a lot. There is a lot. It is worth looking at. A lot of good stuff in there. And you've got let's say the joint second best ever comic artist doing it. John Buscema. He was no slouch, was he?
No, he wasn't.
And there's also I don't know whether you know this. There's also a filmed version of it on YouTube.
No, I didn't know that. I'll check it out though.
You can see. I think it's about 6 parts. Stan Lee's there being Stan Lee, and being the salesman, and John Buscema's shaking his head behind him at the drawing board and all this kind of thing. It's cool. Really worth watching. But it's basically a film of the book because I think he's doing the drawings that are in the book.
All right, I'll check that out later today. And it's called the Marvel Method, or just type
I don't know
in
what
Marvel
it's called.
Method.
It's a while since I've seen it. But if you put in Stan Lee, John Buscema, Marvel Method, I would imagine it'll find you. It'll find something.
But, Amy, good morning. How you doing? Amy Hale's in the house. Wow, you must have gotten a ton of snow. I guess you're home today. Hope you're doing okay.
I want some snow. We've not had snow for about a year now, apart from about half an inch for 2 seconds before it melted. Yeah,
that must be terribly rough for you. I was driving in the snow yesterday, to and fro for about an hour, and down south it was really snowing in Michigan. Up here it wasn't snowing that much. So when I got home, I'm like, yeah, my son and my daughter, they've got like, I don't know, 12 or 14 inches of snow, and we've got like 2, which is great. So I'm glad you're home. Stay safe, Amy, and as well as everybody, Carl, everybody that's in the Midwest right now, and John, everybody that's listening right now, because I know it's.
I'll tell you, if we had 14 inches of snow, I think this country would stop.
Which shut down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's shut down. Yeah.
We've gotten it. I mean, it's just part of life here. You learn how to drive in it, you learn how to live in it, and you
Yeah.
learn how to embrace it. It's a great thing. I think that, and it does clean the air. There's a lot of things about how quiet it is when it snows, and how clear the air is. You can see way out on the lake now. You can see all the way, 30 miles or something. It's crazy when it's a clear day and everything is the snow just has come down. It's amazing. The atmosphere's completely clean. But Carl says he doesn't even bother shoveling the drive. I'm not going anywhere. Okay, fair enough. Well, good then. You can read some of our books. You can get online and or you can go
buy all my books. You read that
there you go.
Rapinui book yet, Carl? Well,
That's right.
you've had it a year. It's about time you gave us a report.
That's a good book, by the way. Very good book. When did you pick up the Marvel Method book? How old were you?
I was 28.
Yeah. So it's been in print, for all due respect, a while. So
you're obsessed, aren't you?
And I'm not obsessed. I'm just saying people need to know that you're a man of wisdom.
I am 67 years old. There you go.
Amazing.
Everybody knows now.
That's UK years, so that's like what, 120 American, something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
So
good. Yeah, I was just getting back in. I've been in I've always worked in advertising and in art studios, and I was just getting back into comics in 1983 when I was 28, and I picked that up from the local store or the local comic store just to see. And I was, like I said earlier, I was quite amazed really that it didn't really teach me a lot, but it was very inspirational to look at in the way that, like with perspective, I've always been able to draw perspective. And I actually bought a book later when I was about 30 just to see what it was I was doing. Because I could always draw perspective. And if you're drawing comics, you've got to be able to draw perspective. You've got to be able to understand it. And but buying this book, it's a great leveler because you do know a lot. You know more than you think you know. Everybody does about anything, right? We all know more than we think we know.
Absolutely.
And if you're an artist, if you're an artist, pick it up, have a look at it, and be surprised about how much you already know. But that's a great thing. But there are some good tips in there.
Right. And looking at all the comic books that we own and that we've gone through over the years, it's still better to see the breakdown of it. It's like behind the scenes in a movie. Sometimes it can ruin the movie. Maybe.
I love all that.
I do too.
I can separate myself from that.
It's just another layer to it. And I think that, let me bring up that drawing while we're talking about it, because I think that that's important.
Yeah.
This is just one of them, snapshot out of the book that I thought was good that you wanted to have it seen.
No, this isn't in the book.
No,
it's not. It's not in the book.
Okay.
This is a Jack Kirby Fantastic Four page, and it just reveals a lot. You can see the storytelling aspects of it. You can see Jack's notes down by the side and the bottom, indicating to Stan where to put the balloons and what to say in the balloons and all this kind of stuff. Or maybe those are Stan's markings for the balloons. But he describes it. And this is the Marvel method. We won't get into the argument. We'll give it as we need to. Stan and Jack have a story conference, and they decide what the issue of that issue of Fantastic Four is going to be. Like, this is the Sandman.
Okay.
The Sandman. Obviously I wasn't there at the conversation, so let's just say that Stan and Jack would sit down on the phone and they would talk to each other about what was going to happen, and then Jack would go away for a week probably and draw his 20 pages and send them in. I think Stanley would confess or admit that he didn't actually describe what to do in every panel, but he would give, I would imagine he would give Jack a beginning, a middle, and an end where he wanted it to go.
But give him some license to do,
and then just let him go. And look at this; it's just beautiful. It doesn't need inking, does it? Look at it.
No,
it's just absolutely that is pencil work. And you can see what I was talking about with the shadows. Look at the bottom panel of the Sandman coming towards Sue. Look under his left arm. You can see where there's lines because there's light in there. Now, Joe Sinner, I've not seen this page for a while, but I bet Joe Sinner, I bet he's made that black.
Yep.
And look at the design on the costume around his neck. You can see there's all different lines on it. You know.
Yep.
and the panel to the left above, I think who's he firing at? Is it Reed? Look at this inside of the leg, the way those lines are. But anyway, that's a fantastic example of the Marvel method, where the writer, the artist would discuss it, the artist would go away, come back with that, hopefully, and then the writer, which is Stanley, would dialogue it, the letterer would letter it, the inker would ink it, and then the colour, and then the engraver, and all that kind of thing. That is a fantastic piece of work, isn't it? I mean, I'd rather have that on the wall like that in pencil than with Joe Sinnott's inks on it.
Yeah, well, and it's like the first draft of a book. The adaptions, the inker is the adapter, really.
Yeah,
when it comes down to it, and it changes.
I know I'm not declining inking here, because inking is a real
they're masters when it comes to
it's a different kind of the art, a different piece of the art, but he's only inking what Jack's put, or the artist has put. So I'm not saying Joe Sinnott can't do that, but he was basically an inker, wasn't he? But he's a very good artist. But
absolutely,
that is just a superb example of, and I would love to see a Fantastic Four. It probably doesn't exist, but the Fantastic Four of this issue and the others with all the photostats of the pencil work, and I'd buy that. I'd buy that before the
absolutely,
because it's just superb. Because to me, as an artist, it speaks more than the printed version, because I can see what's going on. I can see, if you look at the top panel, you can see where the sound effects are, where the bubbles are going, but you can see how it flows and how it works. And that's a perfect example to me of the Marvel method, where the artist has a, I don't know, 80% contribution towards it. I don't know, but look at that. I mean, it's just brilliant. It's brilliant.
And which
you say that again, you froze there.
Which Fantastic Four book is that from?
I'm not sure. I think it's about 67. I'm not sure, but it's just a lovely piece of work. And I said on another podcast, I believe that in the future, if they get the art, they'll be able to lift the inks off it, or photograph the pencils underneath and show us what they really were. Because if you look at the early Fantastic Four stuff that's inked by people like Paul Reinman, it's just butchered. But I think that's because Kirby was only doing layouts.
That's probably true.
Because
we're so used to having him. Yeah, we're so used to having him do it so much more.
He was drawing everything. I think that Fantastic Four page is from a period when he wasn't drawing all the books. He was only probably doing 5 a week, and so he had more time to do finished artwork.
Understood. Since we got John on here, I was going to ask him, do you have any of the Marvel Method books in your shop? I was going to ask him that.
Yeah, I
was going to ask him that yesterday when I was in the shop. But, things that I liked about, and you and I both talked about this. Again, there's certain things like with DC I liked. I loved Batman ever since the get. I was raised, Superman was okay, but Batman was it for me. John said he doesn't. Okay, but there's something about Marvel that you and I both liked more, and I don't know if it was storytelling. I don't know if it was the covers. Shogun. This isn't one that you probably wanted, when you were a kid, but this, for me, robots and everything are real big, always really, really big. But you've got the classic triangle layout, the foreground.
Kirby is the architect of all this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that Stan being, having it stated that that's fine because it's marketing. And there's not to take anything away from Kirby or vice versa, but I think that there's something about it when I'm looking at the work. It just intrigued me as a kid. The stories were second back then. Now the stories are more important to me as I mature. But
from my point of view, when I started looking at this stuff when I was about 10 or 11, 3,000 years ago, I obviously, you realize later that what it is they're looking at, and it was so dynamic. The Kirby artwork, especially the Kirby art, was so dynamic because I love Kurt Swan. I think Kurt Swan is a fantastic artist. I love his Superman and Batman work, the world's finest. I think he's great, but he's no Kirby.
Yeah.
And it's Jack Kirby's work is just so raw, and powerful, and comes at you. And Kurt Swan is safe, but he's very good, but he's safe. And that was the difference. I think I like the dynamism and the force that Kirby brought, and Lee with his words.
And it was force. I mean, it was the way that he drew, and we talked about this when we talked about Kirby in the show. There's a certain amount of momentum in his work that I don't think I've seen I think only with him.
I don't think that Kirby was drawing for the kids. People think comic books are for kids, but Kurt Swan was drawing for the kids,
right?
Because it's tame.
Ever have the tryout kits, the Marvel tryout kits? I remember as a kid, I had those.
I've got one of those. Still got it.
Yep. You still have it? Wow.
Yeah.
I think we sold it unfortunately in a garage sale when I was a kid, but yeah, I remember those. Hey, Brian, how you doing? Brian K. Morris is in the house. Hopefully you're digging out of that snow. You be careful out in the snow, man. Just checking in to cheer you all on. I'll catch you on the rerun. Good. All right. Well, good seeing you. Thanks for stopping in. Make sure that you're staying out of that snow.
What's it saying about put that back up again?
Sure. Runs out giggling.
List of corrections you'll have to make.
It's all good. Well, hopefully you can, hopefully you've read the Marvel Method too. But also Amy said she's staying home to write today too, which is good. Get the next one out, because definitely.
I think what happened, we always get back to Kirby, but because he's the best, isn't he? What happened when he went to DC in 1970, end of 1970, and did Jimmy Olsen and New Gods and all that?
Yep.
They were Marvel books, weren't they? Next to DC, they were Marvel books, weren't they?
Yeah,
and that's the problem that Carmine Infantino had with it. I think his agenda was to get Kirby away from Marvel, but when he got him, he didn't know what to do with him. But that's another show.
Yeah, that is another show. Maybe we can bring that up when we talk about the DC method, if there is one. I don't know.
I don't think there is one.
I just think that marketing wise, that's Stan used it as a proprietary tool to, hey, this is the way we do it, and that makes. I mean, I get it. I marketing wise, I understand it. And it's. But I just wondered if there was something color-wise, something that struck us differently than DC. We looked at, the stories, like I said, Batman was one thing. When I looked for Batman for DC, the Green Lantern, I liked it, but it wasn't like Batman. It was just different. It was a different type of story. Some people, I know that Jody's one of them, from the Death of Small Press Publisher, just adores DC. He was, he knows everything about Wonder Woman. If I have a question about it, I go to him. And like Brian loves Superman. By the way, Brian, don't ever be said that Ted doesn't like Superman. All right, I did get a copy, so I'm just saying. Even though I rag on it all the time, but for some reason Batman's just such a profound thing for me. For DC though, but everything was always Marvel growing up. X-Men, Spider-Man, it was always Marvel. So maybe if any of you guys in the conversation jump in, what your thoughts were on Marvel growing up, if it was something that attracted you to it. I know Pete had a comic book store for years, and I know John's a DC fan too, so John might have a good perspective on that too.
The only reason I've ever bought a DC comic from being 10, or after being 10, was because it was either Kirby or the British people who came over in the 80s. Dave Gibbons and Alan Moore and Cam Kennedy and those people. That's the only reason I would buy a DC comic. Although I did buy Frank Miller's Batman and thought that was superb.
Well, yeah, and exactly.
But that's not Kurt Swan, is it? So this is what I'm saying.
No, it's not. No. And even we were a little rough with Frank too on sometimes the cartoonish statements, or I like it, but let me see. Let's talk about what Jody said here. New Gods, Forever People, and Mr. Miracle were meant to be Marvel comics to go along with Eternals and Galen. Galactus, for those who don't know his real name. Really? See, he's a wealth of knowledge. That's Jody's awesome.
Well, Kirby was working on all that series before he left
Mm-hmm.
Marvel, and I think it was Roz who told him he couldn't pass it in.
Yeah.
But he wanted to kill off Thor, didn't he? He wanted
Mm-hmm.
to end that Asgard thing and then go to the new gods, but I don't think that would have been allowed, and it was one of the reasons why he jumped.
Interesting. Here's something Carl brought up before Jody got on there. What about using your book as a business card? Few people throw away any books. So that's interesting. He said going to a seminar where they talked about using your book I've always used my books as business cards. I mean, regardless, I try to tack in other books, lead in like a back page, of what you can purchase besides this book or whatever from my collection. You'll notice too that on my title there is my Instagram account. If you guys could follow me on Instagram, that would be great. We had a huge problem with the websites this week. I don't know if you've had the same problem in the UK, but Microsoft got hit big time.
No,
and there's people, sites are down all over the place. Something like 600 sites on the guy that services my site got hit. So we're and people can't buy any of my work through my sites. But if you guys want to, get a hold of me through Instagram or through Facebook, and of course we can set up a purchase on everything. But that's going to be down for a little while. We're not sure how long yet. So it happens. This is part of pivoting, as we talked about in business, But anyway, sorry, I digress. But that's interesting, Jody. He's got such a wealth of knowledge. I'm always blown away by what Jody's got to say.
Let me just say that when Jody saw this guy's head, where's he gone? Oops, can't do it. See that helmet he's got on?
Yeah.
Jody knew exactly what that was. It's
the reference to it.
Yeah, because he's been in the Air Force, you see. So he said,
sure.
I've seen that. I know that. I don't think he wore one, but he knew what it was. So so he does know everything.
He's pretty good though. Pretty good. We got a few scholars here that I know that if we needed something like Clyde Hall, amazing. I'm surprised he's not on the video right now. Brian, Clyde Hall. It's amazing. Some of the many different, and the wealth of knowledge on history and comics is just, I learned so much from all of you guys. But the Marvel method though, and the Marvel kits and everything else that I had growing up, it shaped me. It shaped what I read and what I enjoyed. But the cover for me, period. I would buy, I didn't really have a pull list when I was a kid. Now I do. And John Cashman knows I'm paying for it. That pull list is getting bigger and bigger. I'm not complaining, but what
from a marketing point of view, this Marvel Method book was a winner, wasn't it? As was the later, I think it was Jim Shooter who did the tryout. What a masterstroke that was.
Yeah, sure.
Was it £12 or something? $12 or
something? It wasn't much. It was under 20. There was $15 here. Maybe.
I bet they made $1 million on that.
Oh, easily. At that time, easily.
What a masterstroke! What a brilliant...
I think it inspired a lot of people. I'm sure it frustrated kids, but I'm sure it also, the cream rises to the top. So it inspired a lot of us too. And
I wrote and drew a Spider-Man strip on that, but I never sent it in. I've not seen it for 30 years. I'll have to dig it out and not show anybody because it's probably awful. But I'll have a look. I'll try and find it.
My Spider-Man suit was always hard for me to draw. And I had references for action figures and everything else. And it was always, the webbing was always a bear for me to do. And I just didn't have the patience to do it.
Well, that's probably more it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was fun, but it was like, So John's got to head to the store and open up. So you guys make sure that you're shopping over there at Cashman's Comics. Thank you, John, for stopping in. Thanks again for everything you bring to the station and all the goodies, especially you guys can drool a little bit more. Oh, and by the way, Eric Hawkins, you can buy, I think he's got maybe a Geiger left, possibly, since you haven't gotten it yet. You could order that online through John if you'd like, as well as any of my books. That'd be awesome. So But
Yeah,
yeah, John says cheers to Glenn as well.
Yeah.
Enjoyed the insight. Very good, John. Well, yeah, any insights you have too, John, bring them in because we'd love to hear from you. Be safe driving out there.
I think this Marvel method, so to speak, I think it's, like I said, it's not the Marvel method. It was going years before that. I think it's. I don't see how you can produce a comic any differently. You know, I think it's. I think
but
it's
I mean,
wrong.
again, you're back to the showman. You know, the showman mentality. That's the way Stan was in marketing. He had a niche. I'm like, hey, that's it. You know,
I know he grabbed it, but I'm just saying that. You know, not to put any writers down, because obviously writers are writers, and we're both writers as well. But this is a visual medium. You need a good artist. You need a good artist, and they need somebody who knows about storytelling and things like that.
Yeah,
so,
and layout and everything else. You're right.
Yeah.
Yep. So, Jody says the revisions of the Marvel tryout from the 90s was not as good as the original. I agree with that. I still have the revision of it. I still need to get that in an Ames tool.
Well,
so is that an Ames guide or what? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. I've got a few of those. They're in the drawer. I'm not getting them out now. But
don't know where it is. It's around somewhere. It's a fantastic thing. That's 30 years old.
That's a tool you need. If you're on the boards, Ames tool is absolutely everything.
And you need some of these as well.
Oh, French curves, baby. French curves.
And you need a flexi curve, but mine's broken. I need a new one.
You know what? I don't have, I've never had one of those. And I don't.
They're absolutely fantastic.
Yeah? They work? All right.
Yeah, maybe but this one's broken now, so.
Yeah, maybe I'll get one. I mean, I've still got my Vemco drafting arm from I want to say 89.
Wow.
And it still works beautifully, man. I've used it all through college, all through my career. It's one of my favorite. And, I don't even have the drawing board I used to have, when I was growing up. So, but that Vemco has been with me for, a long time, man.
Yeah.
That thing.
Be able to sell it as a relic.
Yeah, maybe. Leave it to the kids, whatever. Maybe they'll use it. $2 at the garage sale when Dad kicks off. Yeah, so that's a really good show, man. What else do you have right now? We're about 1 hour right now. So what else do we have about the method for Marvel?
I don't think we have any more, really. It's a simple thing, isn't it? We could talk for the next 10 hours on it, but it's a simple thing. I think it's the best method of producing a comic.
Yeah.
Especially if there's a writer and artist, because we do both. And it's easy for us to change it, and we don't have to ask anybody, or we don't have to say we've got this idea. But it's the best method because, like I said, it's a visual medium, and the artist. The first thing you see is the drawings, right? You don't see the words. And I don't know about you, but when I used to read, I don't read many comics these days except for the old ones. But when I got them first, I just used to look at the pictures first, and then go back and read it. Because I wanted to see what not so much what was going to happen, but how it happened. And that's learning the storytelling. That's why Jack Kirby is the master. Because if you look at his work, don't be looking at square knees and square fingers. That's not the point. It's the way he makes your eye work on a single panel and go from one panel to the next. That's just storytelling of it.
Right.
And the way he heightens the action, and then the action occurs, and then he brings it down again, and he has a quiet piece. It's the whole thing. It's like a film It's like a film director. It's like Steven Spielberg. Kirby is a film director. The way he does the scenes and all that kind of thing.
I agree with that.
But I would suggest to everybody out there, if they've not got the Draw Comics the Marvel way, to get it. Just to get it for reference, just to read it and just see and be fascinated by it, because you will be. And go on YouTube and watch those programs where Stan's actually there. You see them there, and you see John drawing. There's a bit of humor in there because it's Stanley and he's funny.
I'm going to check that out when I get out of later today. I'm going to have some time.
Yeah, it's well worth looking at.
That's awesome. Excuse me. So, what is what's the plan for the Kirby book right now? You're going to be launching soon?
Yeah, I'm going to be sending out copies to you.
Thank you.
I'm going to be ordering those tomorrow, so I should have them next week. And then it's going to be launched. Then I'm going to reopen the pre-sign thing. And then I'm going to launch
on Indiegogo.
Yes, sorry, on Indiegogo. And then I'm going to launch it on, I think it's March the 1st, the Monday. on Popsy's show, because Monday I'm reading is the best to release these things.
Right. And that's that's the 28th, right? And March the
Is
1st,
it?
you're going to be on TED Talks, I think. That's how
Oh,
it
right,
worked
yeah.
out, I think.
At the end of the last Monday in
Right.
Feb,
Right.
whatever that is. Is that
So,
the 28th or something, or whatever it is?
yep.
So it's a couple of weeks yet, and then we'll go on for that. And then after that, I'll be doing things with Hatch and Comics Unlimited
Sure.
and all that kind of thing.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah, check out everything we're doing on that.
This Kirby thing, this Kirby thing is killing me at the moment, because I just can't get rid of it. Have I shown you the book?
Let's see it. Let's make everybody drool a bit that are Kirby fans.
Hardback book, A4. Look at that.
Oh, it's brilliant. Nice.
That?
Yep.
Lovely spine on it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I expect you to inscribe the inside. Inside.
I may do that for you.
Thank you.
Then inside there's me with loads
Profanity.
of photographs.
No profanity, please. Oh yeah.
That's me with the genius of Jack Kirby there, and then I've got it's awesome, man. It's just full of photographs. And see that work on that desk? That's my work on that desk.
Oh, that's awesome. See, that's and that's why I'm going to love that in my library, as well as everybody else that's a Kirby fan. You guys aren't going to get this. This is it. I mean, this is a campfire moment.
And Kirby said to me, I draw like he does, and I'll show you. I've actually put the pages in that I showed him that I did, if I can find them.
How many pages is it?
Just 2.
No, how many pages?
Oh, sorry, 120, 130, something like that. Those are the pages that I showed him that I'd drawn.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Where he said, I draw like he does.
Mm-hmm.
It's 125, I think, 26 or something.
Fantastic.
But yeah,
I'm excited for you. And plus the DVD will be included.
And there's a DVD that's about. It's got. I put on the original trailer, the intro, the me talking, and then the film, which lasts about 40 minutes, and then I've got the Q&A from the theatre release a few years ago. We did very good to a live audience of about 40 invited people, and then we did a Q&A, and I put that's in the book. The transcript is in the book.
Fantastic.
Effectively, the DVD is this book. Mm-hmm. The film is transcribed in this book. My soliloquy is in there within the book. So this is the book of the film, so to speak. Plus there's extra bits in that aren't on the film about getting to Jack's house and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Climbing through the window. Yeah. Breaking in. Gotcha. All right. Well, no, that's great. I'm looking forward to the book. I know there's a lot of collectors that are looking forward to it too. I was talking to John about it yesterday, and I'm excited to see that chapter is now done. Once you get things rolling and everything gets funded, you'll be able to get it out there, and then you can move on to the next greatness. And the world's going to be better for it. So that's awesome.
So I'm looking forward to it being released. It'll
be very well received.
Apart from articles I'll probably write on Jack about his work, this is my definitive work on Kirby.
The culmination of it all.
And I'm really, really pleased and proud that I've done it in hardback.
Mm-hmm. I am too. I think the way you should have done it.
I think a book is real when it's hardback.
Mm-hmm. There's something about it, and the majority of the ones that last the time, the ones that I've got collected that are over 100 years old, they're all all hardback, which I'm going to be talking about next Tuesday. I purchased last week. I had a selection of books that I've been waiting on for almost a year finally come up for sale, and I bought them. And they're historical. They're a section of a historical Dickens collection, and I'm going to show those on basically antiquated books on TED Talks next Tuesday. So I think you're going to dig it. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, thank you, man. I appreciate you stopping in.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, it's been great. Yeah.
Stopping in on our co-hosting. Real quick too, I want to talk to you about Grimm 101 Book 2. I was talking to the printer this week. We've got here in the States, we're having a pretty big crunch on the paper shortage. So there might be a little delay. I'm waiting to hear back. Everything's going to be submitted here in a week. They're going to try to give me tentative dates of when everything will be here. I'm hoping that everything happens by February 28th. I'm trying to get everything so we'll have it all shipped out and everything by then. I'll do my best. You guys know that I will. Fulfillment wise, it's just right now, it's just the way it works. Depending on the size of the book, depending on what type of book it is, it can all affect everything with right now. And the facilities that are producing the book might be overseas in the UK, and it might be some travel time on that. It just depends. It really depends. Using an international publisher, which has places in the States and in the UK, it's great, but sometimes they have to move things around because they don't have the facilities or the wares to produce the right now in the crunch of it all. So, but I'll be fully transparent with it, so you guys will know what's going on, as you know I will. So everybody that knows me knows I'm like that.
I just hope that you don't stop my stuff being printed by stealing my trees.
I know. No, I promise I won't.
Could be
well, you're set up
consequences.
differently too, though. Your type of books are different. They're bigger. There's different, and they take, precedence over some of these smaller.
And so they should.
So, and I'll
because
try
you might
not
have
to
more
do
trouble in that harbour.
Yeah, right. Right.
We'll be coming back, the rematch.
Yeah, right. Oh, I'm looking forward to getting the Kirby book, though. But I just want to make sure you guys all know. Yeah, it looks like we got a bot here. Let's get rid of the bots. Block user. See you later. Well, we got through the show almost without one of the bots. Now they're here, so we nuked that one. Thanks, guys, for stopping in. Glenn, thank you, man. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks. Yeah, it's great.
And
thank you.
We'll see you next week. We got to figure out what our game plan is for the next Comics Unlimited. But we'll get there.
I'm sure we'll think of something.
Yeah, get out to your local comic book stores if you can, weather-wise and everything. If not, shop. Go to cashmanscomics.com, see what they've got. Ships nationwide. We will talk to you soon. Yep, go ahead.
Just before you go, just remember, everybody, Kirby Crackle is easy.
when you have like several decades of ink time on the boards.
I've been doing that since I was 12.
Okay. Don't get discouraged, guys. Keep working on the boards. We'll talk to you soon. Yep. Thanks again.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.